What up, Sumo Lings? It's your boy, Rabbi Can't Lose, aka Potato Latke, aka Noah Kagan. I'm here with Sumo GM. What do you call yourself?
I'm the Harry Susumos. You know, that's it. Eamon Aldula, you know, aka Papa Bear.
Papa Bear, Hair Bear, Harry Sumo, runs upsumo.com, and he's here today to talk to you about
Just writing your first six-figure email. Simple.
That's just crazy because I thought email, no one reads emails anymore. Everybody's on Snapchat. What's the deal?
I mean, yeah, seriously, email marketing's dead, guys. So like but clearly we did something right because within one email, within 24 hours, we cleared 6 figures in profit. That's money in the bank, and so we did something right. And yeah, we're gonna be here to talk about it.
So, Eamon, maybe do you think you could do a demonstration of how it actually went down, how you secured this deal?
You know, I mean, we can literally do an exact reenactment of exactly how we closed this 6-figure deal. Tony, we're gonna do this deal or what, man?
Eamon, you made me an offer I can't refuse. Is it all there?
You got the stuff?
I got the stuff, man. You got the money?
I got the money.
I got the stuff.
So when are you gonna send me the codes?
Well, you know, I can just talk to my developers and we should have the codes by next week and send you a CSV file. Is that okay? Or I can upload it to your Dropbox.
That's fantastic.
All right.
Take care.
Perfect.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And so just to preface it, because some of you guys are gonna be watching, like, damn, $100,000, one email can make that much. I think I just want to preface it.
Probably more, yeah.
Well, it was more than that.
Yeah.
But the point I want to preface it with is that that's taken time, right?
Oh,
like
100%.
This is now 6 years later of working hard, where we've been able to build up to that. And that's like this theme that just like, we'll talk about some of the lessons learned, but I just want to put a little warning, because sometimes you see these internet marketer scammers that are like, oh, I got rich scamming other people. And it's like, this is all taking 6-7 years, so it's not just like some overnight thing that's happened, but we want to share the lessons and the story behind that. How do you get someone, so it's a very popular product.
Right.
So if people are trying to do partnerships, if people are trying to send emails and make a bunch of money, like how do you approach it, deposit photos and be like, yo, give us your product at half off or whatever kind of deal you guys negotiated.
Right. Yeah.
How do you guys even do that?
We used to walk into consulting and sales with a partner and tell them, hey, we can send you, X number of licenses. Let's buy it for, $10 a license and so on. And it became a transactional thing. It became something where I'm sort of like, how much, like we're going back and forth in negotiation, like, hey, let's split the middle. And it just became very convoluted. It became like more of a business transaction. And over the last 2 years, we've actually flipped that model. Now we're going on to the sales calls and we're actually just saying, hey, we want to find out, are you a good fit? Because we have hundreds of companies that want to be on AppSumo. We can only pick 8 per month, right? So think about that. So out of hundreds of companies that want to be on AppSumo, we have to be incredibly choosy. And so now, instead of it being a negotiation, it's a pageant. You got to sort of earn being on AppSumo. So that's number one, is coming from that position of strength. Number two is you got to sit there and find out, like, is this a good fit? And so we actually asked them a bunch of qualifying questions, and we actually end up helping them. And so it became no longer a negotiation, but actually rather a consultation.
What's like an example of a question? And is it normally the same questions with every time you call people? You kind of do the same checklist of like the consultative part?
It is, for the most part. I mean, we'll typically ask them, like, where are you getting your customers? What is the typical upgrade path? What is the typical profile of your customer?
What are you trying to understand with that?
We're trying to find out if there's a good overlap between their audience and our audience. And that's exactly it. And so all of a sudden, it's no longer us pitching them. Yeah. It's them sort of pitching us, and they don't even realize it. Like, one of my favorite lines is like, my concern is X. And there's always a concern. And I want them to address those concerns. And I always say, my concern with, let's say—
you say that to them?
I say that's in almost every call, because there always isn't as a concern. So a perfect example is, my concern with Sumo is, you tend to be a little bit on the higher end. Do you still serve like a first-time entrepreneur? And then all of a sudden you're like, well, of course. That's exactly what we're here for.
That's interesting. So it's like almost like I have to earn it a little bit, or you almost take it away from me. Like, hey, you may not get this.
Exactly.
And then I want it even more.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happens. And by the time we get to negotiating the terms, we're not even, like, they're actually like chomping at the bit to be on AppSumo.
Because it's a great thing for them, and then you guys are like, hey, we can provide good things for you guys too.
We deliver on the goods, and that's really the number one thing is we have a very consistent track record. We wouldn't be in business for 7 years if we didn't. We've grown every single year since then. 90% of the partners we work with that we want to come back end up coming back to us because we deliver on those promises. And so when we say, hey, we're going to be able to send you thousands of customers, we actually do it. because we're very choosy with the partners we work with.
Let's say you were pre-AppSumo days, pre having all this experience negotiating. What do you think most people are doing incorrectly when they're trying to negotiate? Like, let's say you're gonna start like crap sumo, right? Like you're gonna be a started competitor, but 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think you would be missing in negotiation? I guess what I'm trying to get at for me, or like people watching too, is like, what is something that they can learn so that mistakes they're probably making in their negotiations?
So I think they are immediately walking into it as a sales call, and they immediately think that every person they get on the phone needs to be sold. And I think you need to spend the first 10, 15 minutes finding out if this person's a good fit. And I think that takes time. Sometimes you need to know who's your perfect person that you can help. So I think that first 15 minutes for a novice salesperson is usually just spent, hey, let me tell you how awesome AppSumo is, and let me pitch you, and let me do this, and let me do that. And then the person's like, yeah, got it, heard it all before.
Interesting.
Stop trying to sell me. Whereas now, we don't even talk about AppSumo until 20 minutes into the call. And it's completely changed the mentality. And they are coming at it from a position of, you guys are actually listening to us and seeing if we're a good fit. Because there have been many times where I'm on the call and I'm like, you know what, this isn't a good fit, but I'm gonna give you some advice anyway, and I wish you the best of luck. And it's funny, I've actually gotten on calls with companies like that, and they're like, thank you so much. And they actually refer me people that are our fit, because now they know what we're looking for.
All right, so you got this deal, Deposit Photos, which is a deal of a lifetime, right?
Right.
Was it a lifetime deal? It was a certain amount of photos.
So it's 100 credits for $39.
Okay, so you can do that, and then you set it up in your system. You guys go plug it in the back end.
Right.
So what do you think the elements, like for people out there, like what can they learn that you guys experience? Like you spend a bunch of time getting emails, you spend a bunch of time negotiating, figuring out how to do it, you got it. What can everybody else learn from that for their email marketing? Or for them trying to grow their business, or have one email make so much money?
So I think to your point earlier, you got to take a step back. It took us 6 years to get to that point, 7 years to get to that point. So the only way we could have gotten to that point has been through knowing our audience over the past 7 years. So I think the biggest problem right now that most people have is they're not simply sending enough emails. So the biggest takeaway, if you could do one thing from this call or from this video, is sending a ton more emails. Like, think about this. Like, the people that are on your email list, they scrolled through Facebook, they avoided all the selfies and distractions that are on there, they clicked on your link, they went to your website, they scrolled through your blog, and they found a Sumo pop-up, and they entered their personal email, and they hit submit. They literally said, I volunteer as tribute to be on your email list. And what do? What do most first-time entrepreneurs?
Interesting.
They wait a quarter to send an email, like 3 or 4 months. Could you imagine if you picked up a girl's number at a bar and waited 3 months to send her the perfect email? What would she say to you? New phone, who dis? That's exactly what she would say, right?
New phone, who dis?
It's exactly what she would say. So I think like the people that are on your email list, even if it's just an email list of 300 people, you should be hitting them up every week. Could you imagine if you didn't text your mom for a week, what she would say?
She calls every other day.
Exactly. So treat your subscribers like your mom.
And the thing...
Do it.
The thing with the mom... with my mom. No, but here's the thing. I know everyone's thinking this. Oh, well, I don't want to bug him. I don't want to bug him, right? Which is the common thing. And you even got me thinking about my personal email list where, like, I don't want to send too many emails.
So it's funny you say that. Over the last year, we've actually doubled the number of emails we send at AppSumo.
Okay.
And that's exactly what we were worried about. Oh, we don't want to bug them. We don't want to get in their inbox. But remember, we talked about this. They volunteered as tribute. What ended up happening over the last year? We actually just pulled the numbers yesterday. Our customer lifetime value has gone up 25%. Our average purchase rate has gone up 33%. Our open rates are higher than ever before, and our email list is bigger than ever before. And so what's crazy, we doubled the number of emails we're sending, and not only are we not pissing them off, but they love us more than ever before. And
what's the takeaway from that?
I mean, the takeaway from that is if you're sending an automated drip and it's pissing them off because it's not personalized, then don't send more emails. But if you are sending real emails and it's genuine and you know your audience, send 2-3 emails a week. I guarantee you they're going to want to hear from you. And more importantly, you're going to learn very quickly what your subscribers are responding to. Are they opening more emails? They're going to be sharing your blog posts, and you're going to learn what's great, and you're going to be able to optimize what you send them in the future so that that all of a sudden you become the favorite email in their inbox.
All right, so number one, send more emails. Like if you're doing 1 a month, try 2 a month. Try like 4 a month. and see where the balance is. Your people will tell you. Either you'll see them unsubscribing like crazy, or you'll see them responding. Stop sending me so many emails.
Yeah.
Number two, when you guys send this deposit photos emails that generate so much, you're emailing 1 million people, which is it's kind of a big responsibility. Like,
right.
Imagine the biggest stadium in the world. I don't know if it's Lambeau or whatever. That's 100,000 people. Times that by 10, and now you're having your megaphone telling all them something, which is kind of a big deal.
Right.
Not kind of, that is a big deal. So how much time are you spending crafting that email?
I mean, we spend weeks. We spend weeks crafting just a single email. We actually have a very regimented assembly line that goes all the way from creating the creative assets, bringing in the deal from Ullman, our business development manager, all the way to crafting the deals, to writing the copy. We actually have an excellent copywriter, who's like one of my favorite comedians from Twitter. That's a pro tip. Make sure you're hiring copywriters off of Twitter. Next thing is working to Chris running the assembly line for setting up the deal, writing, making sure the copy and the images are all set up, actually scheduling the email. And then we've got 2 40-point checklists where we're making sure all the links are working and making sure that there's no grammatical errors. And then finally, after everyone's looked at it, this is probably taken 2-3 weeks, then we finally send it off to Anton for final approval. And so for one email, and we're sending sometimes up to 4 emails a week, it can take up to 3 weeks to craft that single email.
So for everyone out there, I think, so point number 1, send more emails. Number 2, because I think what a lot of people say is, well, how do I know when to send email, or my emails aren't good enough? It's like, well, yeah, it takes us weeks to actually just send a singular email.
Right.
So it's either hiring an editor. I think one tip that you have that was great was like, just go find someone who you like reading their emails or reading their tweets or like their Facebook or Snapchat and hire them.
Right.
Like one thing I did recently was I hit up a guy from NPR and I was like, hey, what's your hourly? I'll pay whatever it is so that you can come teach me how to do better audio.
Wow.
Right, and he was $175 an hour, which is a lot, but for maybe, let's say it's 5 hours, for the rest of my life, my audio is going to be significantly better.
That's awesome.
So I like your point, hiring an editor and spend time on your emails. What are the other things that you can learn, people should learn from a $100,000 email?
Yeah, and so, because you're going to be sending more emails, you're going to be getting a ton of data. You're going to learn very quickly what your audience likes and what you don't. This one tip alone has probably doubled AppSumo's revenue over the last year. So, write
Do you want to tell them this?
Maybe we should.
And we're going to end it. Have a great day.
Cameras.
Yeah.
No, but like we just spend time looking historically at what emails are resonating, and you're going to very quickly.
What are you looking at?
You're going to, well, for us, it's profit. For you, it could be engagement, it could be shares, it could be blog comments, whatever success metric you have. You typically want to see high engagement with your emails, right? So you can look back, let's say over the last year, after you're sending an email a week or 2 emails a week, and be like, wow, these three posts did incredibly well. And maybe they're posts about productivity. Over the next quarter, double the number of productivity posts. And so instead of sending 3 productivity posts a year, now you're sending 3 a month. And I guarantee you, your audience is going to resonate like crazy. For us, we noticed over the last year, content was starting to go down, lifetime deals were starting to go up. And so we went from doing 3-4 lifetime deals, software deals a year, to 3-4 a month. And so if you like lifetime software deals, make sure you hit subscribe on appsumo.com.
Check it out.
And I mean, all of a sudden our revenue doubled, our profit increased. All metrics went up and to the right.
So I think the point there is, besides what works for you, because selfishly for them, they want to know, well, like, how do I get this from me? So, and I love the point is, like, if you're like, well, what email should I be sending? Just go look over the past month, 1 year, whatever it is of emails, and pick a metric. Maybe it's open rates, maybe it's click rates, maybe it's buy rates. One metric that you guys use sometimes is revenue per open.
Yep.
So revenue for every 1,000. So you take the revenue divided by number of people that opened it, and then you can have just different metrics. And then whatever it is, just go and be like, these ones work best. Let me go, how do I do more of this? So if you guys are spending time on your emails, how do people find their voice? Like, you guys have like a pretty unique voice that AppSumo's gotten right now.
Yeah,
so like,
absolutely.
what's that about?
So when I first came here, I had actually never written copy before. And so like you and Anton were doing an excellent job of teaching me how to write copy. And I think like some awesome tips for people to learn their own voice is, the problem is like you open up a Google Doc and you start writing, and all of a sudden you're writing to Mrs. Rudo, your 4th grade English teacher. And it's like MLA formatted and APA, and it's like so stuffy. And you're like, this is not the email that I want to sit there reading. And so I think like one of the first things that you got to do is start writing your email as an email to a personal friend. And so, yo, Noah, what's good, brother? Boom, boom, boom. And you start all of a sudden just write. Yeah, who dis? Start writing, just literally write like to a friend as with as much slang as possible, and you can tone it down later. But by starting with your natural voice, all of a sudden that email is going to sound a lot more natural. The second part is writing with a template. So perfect email is like Webinar Ninja, right? Webinar Ninja ended up bringing us like 80K in profit over the weekend before the email even sent out because it started spreading like virally. And why did that do that? Is the very first component of the email is webinars are one of the best ways to grow your business, but most webinar software sucks, right? Like you got to download software and this and that. So you start the first email with the problem.
Yeah.
And then the second part of the email is the solution. This is why Webinar Ninja is awesome, right? You don't have to download software and this and that. Then you come in with the offer, and for us, AppSumo lifetime offer. Then the last component is the scarcity. Like, hey, we only have
This for so long.
only have this for so long. Be in it, and so making sure you have that template.
I love the
I think is
template.
important.
Well, it's funny. I was thinking about Law and Order.
Yeah.
It's the same show every time. Is he going to do it? No way. They're not going to find him. Found him. Done. Think about like that. Transformers, Fast and Furious 10.
Right.
Right. If you find a model that I think to your point, find a template of framing your message. So it sounds like two pieces. One, find your voice, and I think our friend Ullman said it as well. You can either write it out, or what I like to do is speak it out.
Right.
Right. And how would you tell someone that you think they should buy this?
Right.
And just use voice memo on your phone. And then transcribe that.
Right.
Right. And that'll actually give you, because if I was trying to sell you deposit photos, I'm like, hey, do you blog? They're like, nah, I don't blog. Okay, it probably wouldn't be for you. But if you did blog, I'd be like, oh, well, how do you get your photos? And then you kind of go through that, record it, and that becomes that. The second part I think is really important, just as important, is create a template for how you do your writing so that people if it works, keep doing more of it.
That's 100%. Like find your favorite blogger. Like, hey, go to Noah. Like, I want to recreate this post. Just try to like reverse engineer. Like, okay, this intro is a story about work. This is a lesson about how to do X, and literally just translate it. And now be like, okay, I'm going to take this post about doing your first $100 in Facebook ads, and I'm going to make my first webinar, and I'm going to use that same format: story, lesson.
I read about that recently with Gary Halbert. I thought this was interesting, which just was like he would take his favorite sales letters and write it out by hand. So take a blog post and by hand you're documenting the whole thing.
Yeah.
I can tell you, like, you'll probably start getting your shit figured out.
I tried doing that and I hated it. I was like, I'm done. This sucks. I'm like, I know that all the copy like books say to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there on my notebook with my copy, and I'm like, I'm done with this shit. I moved it on.
Not everything works. No, I think you got to figure out what works for you.
Yeah, totally.
Obviously, you guys have done that. Anything else in the 7-figure series for email?
That's it. Hit subscribe because we're gonna be hitting 8 figures very soon per email. What up?